Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Konich-Yeehaw podcast. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Jared.
And this past weekend, we went to AFest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to AFest last year. We actually talked about it also last year. So this is just us talking about what we did this time, right?
Yeah.
So I guess to start off, we mailed our badges this time.
Yes.
That was the first difference.
Very, very convenient.
Very convenient. More conventions are starting to have an option for mail badges, and it's just better for everyone all around. Definitely recommend you guys get your badges mailed to you if you can.
Yeah, so we got to completely skip the line this time. They had a separate booth for mailed badges, and we just got our lanyards there. So honestly, we probably didn't even need to go there.
We didn't. I didn't have a lanyard, so
Yeah.
I needed to. But you have a nice one that you already picked out, and I wanted to buy one this time, but lost it in the sea of things.
Yeah. So the weird thing was that on the sheet that we got with our badge, it said that we need to bring the sheet and the badge to the badge pickup.
Right.
But whenever we got there, she was like, I don't need to see that.
Yeah, I think it was, I feel like with conventions, sometimes the communication between the volunteers and the people who run it is a little lacking.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I think that was just an instance of, we had it set up this way a month ago, right? Because we received our badges in the mail a month ago. And then as we got closer to it, we realized that was an extra step. So never mind.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's essentially what happened.
Fair enough.
Because the badges are, what do you call that? When it's
NFC.
It's NFC activated, which means that there's like a chip in it that you scan, and it just reads that you have the NFC that says, I bought a ticket.
Yeah, because one thing that's different about this convention than the other conventions is that their way of showing that you're able to go, that you have a ticket, and that you're able to go into like panels and things like that, is that you actually scan your
badge.
Your badge, yeah.
Right. So, I think AFest is the only convention that I know that does that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because most conventions you just hold up the badge, right?
Right, you just show the badge.
It's just an extra layer of security on their part.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's really nice for them. They get less fraud that way, for
yeah.
sure. And going back to the mail part, I thought maybe they needed to activate the NFC, but it seemed like it was already activated. So
yeah.
Regardless, we didn't have to wait in line at all. So
yeah, it was great.
We got there a little before noon because we thought we would maybe have to wait in a line, but we didn't. And the first and really only panel-ish thing that we did that day was the International Decora Day celebration.
Yeah.
Which was cute.
Yeah, it was.
It was cute.
Definitely, it was probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that was their first time doing that panel. They definitely didn't realize how short their panel was.
Right.
Which is...
Yeah, they were given an hour and a half. So, and I want to say they took maybe 45 minutes.
No, it was only like 30 minutes.
Was it only 30?
Yeah.
So it was really short. Also, given not a lot of people were there.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad for them.
That showed up. I guess I'll go ahead and say, if you guys don't know what Decora is, it is a J-pop or J-fashion trend that kind of translates to decorating oneself. That's why it's called Decora. And it's just best way to... It's a maximalism, like... on crack. It's
it's all about wearing
accessories and
over accessorizing,
and patterns and colors and layers and things like that. So this person, or there's two people running the panel, but the one who gave the presentation did a brief history, which was very informative.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yes, and went over some trends, some subgenres, the Decora fashion trends, and
And like influential people.
Yes, and influential people.
Decor culture.
Yes, both in Japan and in the West.
Yeah.
Because there are some bits and pieces of decor that the West has adopted, obviously. And it was cool. They had little baggies with beads.
Yeah, I was going to say the best part was that you could make your own...
they're called candy bracelets.
Bracelets, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just the plastic beads. You can make your own bracelet. They had different colors picked out. It was like a curated palette that they had. And you could make either a bracelet or a hair clip. And they had a lot of them, so we, took several just for fun.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah. And they also had trivia, which I participated in. It was a little bit because I thought maybe I would retain some of it.
You bombed.
I was awful. And the thing is that once I got up there, I was kind of like, I spent the whole time making that bracelet. I wasn't actually listening.
Yeah.
I just spent the whole time making the bracelet during the thing. And I thought maybe these would be easy questions. And I feel like in my defense, some of them were not easy.
No, they weren't.
So
there was a lot of names.
There's a lot of names, which the other person wasn't too great with names either, but they were more into decor fashion than I was. So they already knew some of those facts. Honestly, another reason, because, okay, I like to win prizes. So even if I don't win a prize, sometimes I just want to, have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially. And I'm glad that I did because nobody else wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I had to be some sort of competitor, right? I mean, I was a terrible competitor, but this other person was pretty excited also to do the trivia. We were the only two people that got up. Yeah. So, that's that. It was fun. Like I said, it was over pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure for the rest of the panel, they just spent their time making more bracelets, like in the room.
Yeah.
We, though, since that was the first thing we did, we hadn't walked around yet. We were like excited to see the shopping because we love shopping.
Yeah.
We love shopping.
Shopping is probably my favorite part of conventions.
Oh, for sure. So we did the dealer's room first, and it was pretty good.
Yeah. AFest doesn't have, it's not the biggest convention, so it doesn't have like comparatively, this is a very small dealer's
room. I would agree with that.
But like, it's not small. It's not like small.
No, yeah.
It's like still pretty good sized.
Yeah, for sure.
And they have plenty of stuff. Yes,
they do. So we walked around. We met up with a friend. We looked at some things. A pretty good variety, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Of things. I know sometimes we go to conventions and we every booth looks like the same booth.
Yeah.
So I think that it was a pretty good mix.
Oh, definitely.
At this convention. Let's see. So I bought a figure on the first day. I saw it and I was like, that's it. That's my figure purchase.
Yeah, because that's also one thing about like smaller conventions is that you have to nab what you can because there's not as much merch.
Yes, and it could be gone.
Yeah.
It could be gone. And that is the main reason why whenever I got this figure, it was an Anya and Bond figure from Spy X Family. And if you, by the time this comes out, we should have our YouTube short up of everything that we bought, the images of everything that we bought.
Yeah, we already have it on TikTok.
Yeah. So I saw it and I have never seen this figure before.
Yeah.
It's a decent price. It's $35. And it was the only one out. Like there weren't multiple stacked on top of each other. It was only one out. So I'm holding it and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I think I need to get this now. Like something tells me that this one isn't going to be around for long. So I nab it right away. Other than that, we kind of just, perused, I would say.
I bought dice that day because later we were playing D&D, which we'll talk about in a sec. Which the dice dealer that I went to, he had this really cool deal where you had 3d20s, and if you rolled a natural 20, then you could get $5 off.
Yeah.
I rolled a 1. So I did not get $5 off. But they were still really well priced.
Yes, and they're very cool.
Yeah. So
Made
the
well.
ones that I have are liquid cores, which means that there's liquid on the inside, and mine have eyes in them. So the eyes are always looking up, which is really cool. And it was only $35.
Yes.
Which, you know what? Pretty much everything we bought was like $35.
Which is a good price.
Yeah.
That's a good price point. I guess to kind of give it some comparison, I mean, I expect figures to be more expensive.
The figures that we go for, I expect to be around $35.
Maybe 40. I would say maybe 40 for some of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, okay, so two of them. We'll talk about this later.
Okay.
on the later days, because I bought it on the second day, so we'll talk about it then.
Okay, so we do our walking around the dealer's room. The figure and the dice were the only thing that we bought.
Yeah.
And then we start walking around the artist alley, and we're just looking.
We take our time. That's why we spent like, oh my god, that's why Anime Frontier was
kind of hellish,
yes,
but like almost in a kind of a good way though. Yeah, we say that with love.
We really take our time to make sure that we see everything.
Because we will stop at booths that we know that we don't want anything at.
Yeah.
But we're still going to look at everything.
Yeah.
Because you never know. You just never know. That's kind of what I've learned, especially with some of these artist alleys where maybe I'm looking at them and most of the things I'm seeing are Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, not seeing it. And then in the corner where the charms are, there's something that I want. And you just have to really look and take your time sometimes. So regardless, we start looking through the artist alley. We don't finish because we have a D&D meetup.
Yes. So for the first time, since I say for the first time, we've only been, or us together have only been to AFest like one other time.
Yeah.
I've been to AFest a couple times, and one thing about AFest is that it's also Game Fest.
Right.
So it's technically two separate things, but it's
you get a pass for both.
You get a pass for both. And what Game Fest is that it is a little bit of video games and then a lot of tabletop stuff. So what they do is that they host one of the things that they do is that they host D&D sessions. So they have a couple DMs or dungeon masters, and then you can sign up for time slots to run a campaign or like a one shot.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. They also do like people that make like tabletops. They'll come there with their newest editions of their games to like demo it. And so
if you want to learn how to play it,
if you're really into tabletops, it's pretty cool.
So I don't play D&D. I have never really been super into it. I've been trying to dabble. It's one of those things where all of my friends like D&D, and I feel like I'm missing something, like I'm like, at some point it has to click for me and I'll get it. But I honestly still kind of don't get it. Like I'm getting a little closer to getting it. Regardless, I don't really play D&D. You and I are kind of working through a tabletop right now. So I was kind of on the fence because I feel like as someone who doesn't play D&D, going into play D&D with strangers is just kind of scary.
Yeah, of course.
So, whenever you told me, it's going to be like 8 people but it's okay, like, because we're all going to be like at the same lower level and yada yada yada. And I was finally like, you know what, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. And I think the real final push was that our friend was going to play with us.
Yes.
And she is literally a walking rule book. And she's
so good at D&D.
She loves D&D so much.
It's a passion.
And she's so good at it that it made it easier for both of us.
For both of us to have fun with it, honestly. We show up and it's a lot of people.
Okay, yeah. So this is one thing that I noticed. We got there first.
Yes.
And there was only like 6 people signed up whenever we got there.
Right.
And then he kept accepting more people.
People just kept showing up. So there was like a sign up. Like there was a sign up. You signed up for a time slot. And that was only supposed to accept 6 people. Correct? I think that was it.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's what it should have been.
That's what it should have been. But then people who just kind of heard there was D&D at 5 o'clock would just walk up and be like, so y'all playing D&D? Can we join? And I get it. It's hard to say no. But she just kept saying yes.
We ended with 9 people.
We ended up with 9 people.
And we're like, that's way too many.
Yes, even the DM was like, I've made a mistake.
Yeah. So the thing is that with tabletops like this, honestly, like 4 is the right amount. If your DM is really good at like managing, then 6.
Right.
But like it starts getting really complicated and it starts getting really frustrating when there's more than 4 people. Because you want everybody to have a chance to play.
To have fun.
Yeah.
You're right.
And then also combat starts getting really long. Yes. The more people that you have, the longer combat's going to be. And for some people that don't like combat, that's a real deal breaker for them.
Yeah. So essentially what happened was our DM had a friend. So the DMs are like, they signed up to be a DM, by the way. So they're like,
they volunteered to do
They're
it.
like part of the convention. They have like the convention.
Yeah,
like
they have their own special badges.
Yeah, they have like a different kind of badge. So this person signed up for this, and then another person who also signed up for it, they seemed to be friends, was just going to show up and kind of watch. I mean, he brought his dinner.
So what it was that so they had 2 DMs. They had 2 volunteer DMs, and one of them wasn't going to start DMing. So this was Friday. They weren't going to start DMing until Saturday.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
And so it's the reason that he was there was that he was going to play.
Okay.
So so he was going to play in the campaign that we signed up for.
Okay.
And then they were like, there's too many people, and we were like, please let us separate into a separate table.
Right. So all of this is to say, I do feel bad for that guy.
Yeah,
I really do. So this guy, he was a good sport, and he was like, let me finish my dinner, and then we can the group can split off and we can have a separate campaign.
Yeah.
And add another table. So we started a little late because we went with his group. So there's 3 of us. So the 3 of us friends.
Yeah.
Right? Like we came here to play D&D together. Everybody else kind of showed up on their own. Just saying. Well, one person came with his mom, and they didn't play together. They didn't play together.
So my thing with that is that, let's see. So us 3, him, and then that. Yeah, I guess, and then it would be them 2. So yeah, never mind. Continue.
So we split off to play our other campaign. We started a little later to let this guy finish his dinner.
Yeah.
And once I just want to say, like, props to him. Honestly, props to him, because he kind of had everything already in his head. Like, for someone who wasn't ready to DM, he seemed pretty prepared, is all I'm gonna say. He seemed like he was a very knowledgeable guy in the story that he wanted to tell and things like that. He was a good DM. We play. For me, it was for me, it was a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
Even the 2 strangers that we were playing with, they were pretty cool guys.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
You got to do everything. You got to be the hero.
Yes, apparently I was the hero of everything. So I kept killing all the enemies all by myself during the combat.
And doing all of the like intelligence checks and things like that. I did
all the intelligence checks. Yes, it was an accident. It just kept happening. It's how the dice were rolled.
Yeah.
But we ended up cutting it short just because I got hungry. It was late. And we were just ready to go. So we did say, we kind of made up an excuse and just said, something came up. 8:00, we have somewhere to be.
Yeah.
Bye. And soon after that, it seemed like the game just kind of like stopped anyway.
Yeah.
So overall, it was fun. I think I would do it again.
Oh, really?
I think I would also want our friend to be there again, though.
Yes, definitely.
I don't think, like, no offense, I don't know if just the 2 of us
would
make it work. She
carried the table.
Carried the table as far as vibes go.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
my optimal setup would be you, me, her, and then maybe some of her friends.
Right. Yeah.
So that we all have like this same, like, at least kind of know each other.
Yeah.
And they're all into D&D.
Right.
So they would probably have the same, if not similar, similar, if not the same energy as her.
Yeah.
So it would just be a good time.
Right. Yes. But it was a good time.
Yeah.
Yes. That was our first day. That was the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, second day.
That was also the longest that we were at.
That was the longest that we were there.
We've grown.
Old.
I might talk more about this later.
We're so old.
We're so old now. And we get to the convention at like 11 a.m. And then by like 5 o'clock,
we're ready to go home. We're ready to go home. Get dinner and sit on the couch and watch anime.
Yeah, I say 20-something. I'm not like a young 20-something anymore.
Yeah, and another big part of that is having a place to reset. So obviously things would be different if we stayed at the hotel.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Because then we could just go up and maybe take like an hour-long nap, and then we'd be ready to do more convention things. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, since
we don't have to think about parking. We wouldn't have to think about parking. We wouldn't have to think about traveling just in general. So
we traveled we would drive about 30 minutes every day,
right,
to and from. So it was a little bit. To try to save as much money, we try to only go to conventions that we can drive to.
Right. And then once again, we try to stay there as long as we want to because of parking. We also pay for parking.
Yeah, parking. This was in the middle of Dallas. So parking was at a minimum, technically at a minimum $15 if you did it ahead of time,
right,
at that one parking lot. But at a minimum, it's going to be a 20 plus.
Yeah. So all of that is to say that sometimes it's hard for us to stay at conventions late.
Yeah.
We thought about going back late on Sunday, but then once again, so we went to the convention, we came back home, and then we were at home, and we were like, I don't want to drive back to the convention.
Another thing about it is that there are some interesting panels, but like panels I'm just not as interested in a lot of panels anymore.
Right. I mean, it's a thing where you have to weigh if it'll be worth your time.
Yeah, definitely.
And for me, I always want it to be worth my time because I paid for it.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? I want to do as many things that the convention offers because I paid for that experience. And part of that is that I do wish that I had more energy and more drive to do all the late night stuff because some of that stuff does seem interesting, and especially at this convention, some of the late night stuff wasn't even necessarily adult oriented. Some of them were just games, and I love games at anime conventions.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's almost as if we don't stay at at the hotel or closer to the convention site, it's really hard to stay late.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, for example, if you guys listen to our WeebCon episode, because we only lived 15 minutes away, it was really easy for us to go back and forth.
Yeah.
A lot. Like, that was nothing to us. And it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Moving on, though, to the convention experience. So, on Saturday, we show up, do our thing. The first and only panel that we go to on Saturday is the Nintendo Family Feud.
Yeah.
Which was noon 30.
Yeah.
And it was a fun game.
It was.
It was a fun game. They had some difficult questions.
They had a lot of
They had
difficult
easy
questions.
ones and they had difficult ones.
They did make a point, though, to say that these were all questions that they did not pick out themselves, or answers. They did not pick out the answers themselves. They were like questionnaire answers.
Yes, these were the survey said.
Yes.
Just like Family Feud.
Yeah.
And
though I will say, unlike Family Feud, they had a 2-hour time slot. So
I would just love to say to those people, I obviously don't want to give criticism where it isn't wanted.
Yeah.
But it should have been 2 rounds.
Yeah.
It should have been 2 rounds. So essentially, they picked their 10 people, because it was an open Family Feud. So if you wanted to play, you could play. They picked their 10 people, so 5 on each team, at the beginning of the panel, and then they played.
We got through 15 rounds.
15 rounds with them.
So
that's 15 questions.
We were there for about an hour.
Yes, and that is too much.
Yeah.
Not just as a viewer, as someone who was watching the panel, but I'm sure that for some of those contestants, they were like, when can I stop?
Yeah, because like two of the contestants were kids.
Yes,
so,
like little kids.
Yeah, like they really didn't know what they were getting into.
No. They were like, okay, a fun game. And
yeah.
I like Nintendo. And once again, some of these questions were hard, some of them were easy. So I think that the panel would have been better if they ended after,
they did like 10 rounds.
If it was like Family Feud where they did maybe 5 questions.
Yeah.
5 questions at most, and then winning team gets a prize, and then we break up, do new people.
Yeah.
We needed to keep it cycling.
I agree.
So while it was a fun panel, I would say my constructive criticism to it is that it needed multiple rounds with different people, because we left early. We were tired of it.
Yeah, it gets anything like that gets tiring after an hour.
Right. Yeah.
I can think of very few panels that I've been to that I'm like, oh boy, it's 2 hours long.
Right. Yeah. So we left early. We left about 30 minutes before it actually ended. And then we met up with my sibling in the artist alley. We finished the artist alley this time. Which
I do want to point out one thing about the artist alley, which we probably pointed out about last time we went to AnimeFest, is that the artist alley is free.
Yes, it's free. So if you want to just go to the artist alley part of A-Fest, you are welcome to. And that is how my sibling keeps getting in, because that's all they care about, which is totally valid. So we finish going around. We get some boba. We are doing our thing.
The boba was really good.
Okay, so we have never had, isn't it called Boba Addiction?
Yeah, something like that.
So Boba Addiction is a boba food truck in the DFW area. And they are at every convention. We see them. And we just never get it because we're like, oh, overpriced boba at the convention. Also, the line is always long because they're the only boba place.
Yeah.
Multiple factors for why we don't. And for some reason, Saturday we were just craving it. We were like, we want a little drink, So we waited in the line. It wasn't too bad because another thing about them is that there's 5 items on the menu. Like you're not going to get a lot of options. You just got to pick your drink and go.
Yeah.
We got our boba. and it was so good.
It was so
It
good.
was so good. Oh my goodness.
And it wasn't super overpriced.
It wasn't super overpriced. I just thought it would be.
Yeah, I also thought it would be because, it's convention food.
It's convention food. Convention food is always expensive. So we had a little boba break. We just kind of walked around. We took a few pictures.
Yeah.
And that was also, once again, the end of our day. We thought we could make it.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, there is one other thing.
There was one other thing that happened. We got a quest.
We got a quest. Oh my goodness. It was fun. So essentially, we're just walking around, minding our business. And then these two guys come up to us. And they're like, hey, can you help us out with something?
They're like, would you like to do a quest?
Would you like to do a quest? And we're like, we're killing time.
Yeah, and
these are
these are like Ren Fair looking guys.
Yes,
like
one's
doing
in
the accent as well.
Yeah, like one's in chainmail and has axes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, yeah, we would love to do a quest. Hello, and the main guy is like, what was his name? Oh my god, started with a C.
I don't remember.
Coat. Yes, that's right, Coat. So Coat is like, you see, my wife is very ill. And she needs medicine, and I need you to find the wizard that has the medicine. My bodyguard will help you out over here. He's paying off his bar tab. And we're like, all right,
yeah,
cool. And then we got to roll for perception.
Yeah,
got to roll for perception to get some hints for what this wizard looked like. He's a guy with a beard and dark robe and a staff with a crystal.
Yeah,
we're like, okay, cool. So we walk around the artist alley, and we get led to a dummy wizard.
Yeah.
So this was a thought out 2-step process, right? We get coerced to meet up with this dummy wizard, who is a guy who is like a wizard with sunglasses on.
Yeah.
And his staff is a stick with a glow stick in it. And we're like, do you have the potion? And he's like, what? And I'm like, do you have the potion for the...
Yeah, we're here with Coat, or from Coat. We need like
the potion.
This potion.
And he's like, all right, I got something for you, but don't tell anybody, okay? Don't tell anybody. And he hands me like a little craft vial, and there's just grass in it, like just straight up like blades of grass.
Yeah.
He's like, do with that what you will.
Yeah. He's like, for recreational use.
Yes, for recreational use. So we're like, okay, cool. So we go back, we find Coat, and I'm like, here, this is what the wizard gave us. He was like, this is grass.
Yeah, he's like, I asked for a liquid.
And
this is a solid.
Yeah. He's like, maybe this will be a nice tea. I don't know. But can you go find a liquid? And, we got to ask him a couple questions. Like, I had to make sure. I was like, okay, this is only in this room, right? And it was. Regardless, we end up getting to the actual wizard.
Oh my gosh.
This is where it gets embarrassing.
It gets so embarrassing.
It's about to be real embarrassing, guys. So we get to this actual wizard who has the potion that we need. But he says that we have to answer his riddle. And we couldn't do it. It was painful.
It was...
I couldn't even look at him.
What goes around the world but stays in the corner? Which I bet is like baby's first riddle. Like,
oh, it was so embarrassing.
And we could not figure it out. We stared
at each other, not being able to figure it out. And even my sibling came because they were away, and then they came, and I was like, oh my god, come. And then I told them the riddle, and I was like, please help us. And they were like, I love D&D, but this is why my DM never puts in riddles.
Yeah, and then the wizard let us roll to use our cell phones, and we failed both rolls. And we all went around
and we all failed the roll.
Yeah.
And then finally...
Then he was like, I'll let you roll again, advantage, so you can roll again. And then I rolled like an 18 or something, and I was like, okay.
And I was like, here, take my phone.
Yeah.
Looked it up. It's a stamp.
Yeah, it's a stamp. It was so embarrassing.
It was so embarrassing. And I know that I couldn't even look at them because I know that him and the bodyguard guy who's like in on this were like, these fucking idiots.
Yeah.
So, but we get our potion, we give it to Coat, and Coat says it's poison. So there's that. And then he lets us keep.
Yeah, where is that, by the way?
It should be in your backpack.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Yeah. So it's just like goo.
It's just goo.
I'm a little scared to take it out.
No,
I think I'm just gonna leave it in.
No, I think it's like a you're supposed to leave it in. I think it's decorative. It's a decorative goo.
Okay.
It's not actually like liquid. So it's a decorative goo. So that was a fun little quest a fun little run around that we had at AFest, and that was actually the last thing that we did.
Yeah, we bought stuff that day though. That was our buying day.
You bought things. Did I buy things? You bought a print.
I bought stuff that day. I guess
you bought a print.
It was my buying day. You bought a charm.
Oh
wait, you bought penguins.
I bought penguins. I bought 3 penguins and a charm. That's true. So I found a lanyard my first go around, and then I forgot what booth it was at. It was a lanyard that had sea creatures on it. Unfortunately, we couldn't find it again.
And then we never saw it again.
Which might just be somebody bought it and they took it off the display.
Yeah,
that's totally possible because we looked.
We looked a couple times.
To try and find this lanyard. I will just have to get one later.
So I bought a few figures, or I bought 2 figures. And what I was saying earlier about the stuff that we bought was all about $35.
Right.
Was wrong because this place had a weird deal where it was like
buy 2 for $50.
It was buy 2 for $50, but buy 1 for like $35. Yeah. Which I'm like, okay, like all of these figures probably retail for about $30-$35 anyway.
Yeah.
And so like,
of course you should buy 2.
Yeah, of course I should buy 2. So I bought 2.
Right. Yeah, I mean they're 2 that we like.
Yeah,
and we want.
I liked it.
But were we maybe suckered into 1? Maybe.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I'm fine with both of them.
Yes,
I'm happy with both of them.
For sure. So that was Saturday. Sunday. We
psychology.
Well, before that.
No, before that.
The swap meet.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So we have never done a swap meet before.
Sad.
There's usually one at every anime convention Sunday morning, because the idea is that you maybe accidentally bought a gacha bag that has things that you don't want.
Yeah.
So this is your chance to maybe trade and get something that you do. But it's all maybe, right? That's how this works. And excuse me.
We had a couple things.
We had 3 items. You had a figure.
Yeah. That I got from a gacha.
That you got from a gacha.
At AFest, but a year ago. Yes.
So you had this figure from a gacha, and then I suggested that we would, just to try and, the more items you have, the more likely you can trade, right?
Yeah.
I said we should bring 2 of our anime textbooks, because maybe somebody will want them. And we have 2 copies, so why not? And nobody wanted any of our stuff.
Nobody wanted any of our stuff, which really sucked.
Yes.
I traded one of my figures for a figure
for another one.
For a figure from the same series. So kind of net win on that.
Kind of net win, yeah.
But like the stuff that we really wanted, they didn't want to trade for. They didn't want to trade for it. So you know what's really interesting is that I noticed a lot of people that were at the swap meet were also vendors. So what makes me think is that the swap meet is kind of for vendors that have merch that they can't sell anymore. Because a lot of the people that were at the swap meet had a ton of stuff laid out.
Yes. And some of them, it was obvious that they were actual people. Like, like us. Like, a lot of them, I noticed, actually, they are subscribed to Loot Crate. So they get all of this shit from Loot Crate, and they don't want it all. So all of those t-shirts that we saw, those are all Loot Crate t-shirts. Like, so many of them on the label, you could see it was Loot Crate. So Loot Crate is funding the swap meets. Is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Any kind of monthly subscription box, fan fan related
Yeah.
is funding these swap meets, because obviously you're going to get stuff that you want, stuff that you don't.
Yeah.
So I also want to say that it's obvious that some of these people were just subscribed to Loot Crate, and they have this just collection, of things that they don't want.
Yeah, of course.
And that it was obvious. Some of them, like the I got the fuzzy cat paws. Obviously, those were things that were in storage.
Yeah.
Like they were like in the vacuumed bags. So those were obviously from people who were like collectors. Also,
there was one person, I guess vendor, that really confused me, because they had a ton of retro stuff.
Right.
Like they had like a GameCube, and they had a modified Game Boy SP or Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, the one in the corner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's stuff that's like people would straight up buy.
Right.
Like,
and the rules of swap meet, no money can be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just a little confused that they were there, because they seem like they should have just been a vendor.
Right. Or they should have just tried to sell it.
Yeah, meaning like, oh, whoopsie. That they seemed like I said, maybe they were a vendor, but this is stuff that they just couldn't sell. But they had like a GameCube, they had a bunch of retro stuff.
Yeah, I remember.
And like, I don't know, they just seemed like kind of out of place. I'm like, I see that stuff and I'm like, are you really willing to trade for that?
Yes. I definitely saw some things that were like, are you sure we're trading now?
Yeah.
Like what could I even possibly trade for this?
Yeah, exactly. And like, so I mean, there are some figures, like I tried to trade for a Homura figure, and that like figure and some of the other figures that were around there, they were like high quality figures.
It was a high quality figure.
And I'm like, who do you think is coming to this swap meet that is going to trade
that has something that you want?
Yeah.
Because we tried.
Yeah.
We were like, we have 3 items. I mean, this is all we got.
Yeah.
What do you like? And
yeah, these books are like $50 each. Like
yeah, so whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and they weren't interested.
Yeah, because I saw some like Figma figures as well. Like, well, that was a Good Smile company, so that's like the same company that does Figma. But like some Figma brand figures there as well. And I'm like, no one is going to bring things of that high quality to trade with you.
To trade with you, like I also, it's just, so it was an experience. We didn't get exactly what we wanted out of it.
Yeah, but I still consider it a win.
Yeah, I mean, you got to trade your figure. I got something. Cat paw, not my first choice. And
but you got it for free.
I got it for free because they didn't want any of our stuff, and they were like, honestly, just take it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool, I will. We did that. Then we did anime psychology.
Yes.
So the A&M
Texas A&M Commerce.
Texas A&M Commerce, some psychology department.
Yeah.
Has been doing research on anime fans and the anime fandom for years now. And last year we took their survey. Very funny. They used our picture in their presentation.
They did. That was so funny.
They found us on Twitter and they used our picture in their presentation.
They follow Konich-Yeehaw.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me because we did at them. We promoted them.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, and this was them just letting us know what they have discovered so far, right?
Yes, so
because
they're the International Anime Research Team.
Yes, it is international.
Yes.
But obviously most of their surveys are done in America, and then the next part is in UK, Europe. But they do it is international.
Yeah,
truly.
they only do in English though. Like that's their limitation.
Yes, it's only in English.
If you want to go do their survey, which I hope you do, they're on Twitter. Their @ is anime_survey, and then they have a link to their survey in their bio.
Yes, you have to be 18 to complete it, so no minors. Sorry. Because then they'd have to get consent.
Parental
consent. Anyway, so this was them giving us some of their findings, because a part of research is to report your findings to the public that you are studying, which is something I learned in school. So yeah, this was just them giving us numbers.
It was really cool.
Yes, they're just giving us the numbers back. Yeah. And he was so funny. He was so adorable. How he was like, I'm one of y'all. So please do not be offended by this information. Because some of it is very cringy and stereotypical.
Yeah, he kept being like, you're going to hate me for this.
The numbers don't lie. So
there's a lot of very obvious things.
Yes, so things
but
like,
it's nice to just see it in numbers.
Right. So I mean, things like most of the cis men are single, and also anime fandom is mostly cis straight men, and
things like, if you watch hentai, you objectify women more often than people that don't.
Which correlates to other pornographic studies.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of information. We love information. Mm-hmm. We love numbers and psychological research.
There was one obviously lonely guy in the back.
Yes.
Bless his soul.
Yes. I wonder, what was his... Oh, he was like, there was a statistic that was how many female anime fans are dating.
Yeah.
And how many male anime fans are dating. And according to the statistics, more women in the anime fandom spaces are in a relationship than their male counterparts. So there are more men in the anime spaces that are single.
Yeah.
Is what it says. And this guy was like, isn't that kind of funny?
Yeah, he's like, doesn't it take two to make a relationship?
Doesn't it take two to make a relationship? Come on, ladies. And of course, I'm like, well, first of all, lesbians. Second of all,
yeah, the guy, the presenter, he was like, well, you can also date outside the fandom.
Yeah, maybe these anime fans are not dating other anime fans.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was like trying to make, I don't know what he was trying to do. If he was trying to like find a hole in the research,
yeah,
that would make him feel less lonely. But
he asked another question later, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember what it was. It was also along the lines of, why are you so lonely? But sorry to just pick on that guy for a second.
Yeah.
Very interesting numbers. We love numbers. We went and we completed the because they had the paper surveys there, but you could have also completed it online.
Yeah.
So we did it online. Yeah, interesting stuff. They ask interesting questions, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see what they have to say next year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, for sure. Then we just closed out the day. We walked around everywhere again once more. Me in attempts to maybe finding that keychain, which I never did, but that's fine. And then we went back to the dealer's room because there were a few things that I was like, maybe on the last day. And guess what, guys? It was all gone because I waited for the last day.
Yep.
So it's how the cookie crumbles. No more shopping for me. That's fine. Then like I said, we wanted to go back. We wanted to go back on Sunday, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Because
the cosplay contest was like 7
at
p.m.
7 p.m. on Sunday.
Which is pretty late.
It's pretty late, and it's usually not on a Sunday.
It's usually on Saturday. I want to point that out.
It's usually on a Saturday.
My only reason for why I think it might be on Sunday was because this convention also spans to Monday.
Runs until Monday, which is unusual for a convention.
Very unusual. So this is probably like... This convention is like the longest convention I've been to, because you can pick up on Thursday and then the convention doesn't end until Monday.
The convention doesn't end until Monday. The last panel ends at 3, and I don't know when the artist alley and the dealer's room close.
Yeah.
But just to give an idea of how long it runs. Anyway, we wanted to go back on Sunday because of the cosplay contest, and there was a late night 18 plus panel that I wanted to go to called Tuna Tank, which was going to be a spoof of Shark Tank, the idea of bringing ridiculous product ideas and presenting them to the people who are running the thing, and maybe you get a prize if that sounds like good fun to me.
I'm always gung-ho for whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just always wary of things like that when it comes to the audience, especially when it comes to the audience being the one that
that's so
does
fair.
it.
That is so fair.
Because there are a lot of
people who have a lot of confidence
and no humor factor. No comedic.
They're not funny.
Factor. There are a lot of them, especially in the anime community,
who think
they're hilarious.
The thing is that they're with their people.
Yeah.
They think that this is where they're going to shine. And more often than not, they don't. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry to say that. And I don't mean to bring down confidence, because I know it's hard out here.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't do that, but it's because I have humility.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now, okay, so...
Did I just bring back a memory for you?
Well, the thing is that, like, you know, this is one part of me that I'm saying, like, oh, I'm getting old. I don't want to do, like, these panels don't appeal to me anymore because I don't want to get up and, like, do them anymore. Because, like, whenever I first started going to conventions, I was gung-ho to volunteer for panels.
You were the winner of Waifu Warfare.
At two different conventions. Yeah, so I'm, like, familiar with, like, getting up and doing panels. Mm-hmm. But, like, kids nowadays, I say kids loosely, people younger than myself, and some people older than myself, they have no shame.
The internet has taken away their shame.
They have no shame. There are people that were filming TikToks in the middle of the hall.
Like, had their water bottle down on the floor, their phone
or like in the middle of the lobby. In the middle of the lobby.
Yeah, had their phone against it on the floor, and then would just back up and start their TikTok. And it's like, obviously people are going to walk. Like, some people had the sense to not walk in front of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like, how do you think that you can demand this space right now?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I thought about purposefully walking in front of her. I'm not gonna lie, because
Savage.
These TikTok kids.
Please follow us on TikTok.
At Konich-Yeehaw.
At Konich-Yeehaw. Please. But also, we don't get it because and it's a double-edged sword having humility, because sometimes I wish I didn't. I wish I also could just do a silly little TikTok dance, do a little lip sync, and people like it. Because, you know, I mean, I know that there's an audience for it, obviously.
There's obviously an audience for it. And, like...
But here I am with my damn shame.
I know. Here I am with my shame and not...
I can barely do this podcast, guys.
Oh, my gosh. You know, it's ironic because I just don't get TikTok. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to run it. I want to run our TikTok and be successful. Right. But, like, I don't want to do... I don't want to do what the kids are doing. And like, I could do like the filters and things like that. Fine. But like I want to put in effort.
Okay.
Like, it like
have some production.
The things that are so popular are the things that like anyone from like 14, 12, 10 could do, 10-year-olds could do,
right,
and are doing. And so I'm like, how is this popular? Mm-hmm. It's just crazy to me. And because I'm also the type of person that like doesn't really watch people do things. Like, you know, I don't watch like streamers and things like that really.
Okay, yeah.
And so like I just don't get it.
Right. It's odd.
It is, yeah.
So, in some closing thoughts.
Yeah,
about the convention. I would like to first say that this was a very family-friendly convention.
Yeah, it was.
You have made a point that this convention bans soliciting.
Yes.
Which means no step-on-me signs.
Which I will say this. I don't know. I've always wondered this. Who enforces that? Who enforces the rules?
The staff, the volunteers.
Because the thing is that, like, they also have a rule for no speakers No walk around speakers, but there was some like
there were some
little kids or teenagers with their speaker playing Tota KK cover songs.
Yes, I do remember that. Maybe because it was kind of soft.
Yeah.
But so going back to my point though.
Yeah.
It is a pretty family friendly, family safe.
It's
convention.
probably our most family convention near us.
Convention. Also, just in the sense that there were a lot of kids.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There were a lot of kids. More kids.
And by kids, we mean like young kids.
We mean like elementary.
Yeah.
Like young kids. More kids than I'm used to seeing at anime conventions typically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a plus. I mean, if that's the kind of fan environment that you were looking for.
Yeah, this is a great convention to take your family to.
Yes, it is.
Like,
definitely.
There were definitely plenty of families of, like, dad, mom, and then, like, 8-year-old.
Strollers even.
Yeah, strollers.
Like, literally, bring your kids. There's actually one comedic point a little comedic point in my memory of when this family, they had it would look like a big wagon.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it wasn't a stroller, but it wasn't a wagon because it was tall.
Oh, no, it was a wagon. Like,
it was tall, though. You know what I mean, though?
No, that's a new,
Is that a new thing?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. They had 2 kids in there. And the thing is that they left the wagon thing kind of far back so they could walk up to a panel and not crowd or walk up to the artist and not crowd the artist. And then a cosplayer walked by, and you could just tell in his mind, he was like, whose kids are these? Like, no one is next to them right now. Not that it was like a scary situation, because they were right there. They were right there, but it was a moment of like, where are your parents? But there were a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
So that's positive. I will say that if you are into voice actors, not the best place. I'm not trying to diss anybody any voice actor who did show up. Y'all are very talented.
Yeah.
But it was a short list. I'll say that. It was a short list of voice actors.
Which makes sense because this is a...
it's a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit convention.
So
they don't have the money for, Yuri... what's his name? Oh, well, regardless. Big names.
Big names. Yeah. So if meet and greets are kind of your thing, maybe... not here. I still think the panels are very fun.
Yeah.
I love games. Games are good presentations, and even the ones that we didn't go to, it seemed like some of them would be good presentations. The ones that like the history of Japan for an otaku kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
Not really. We went to this convention last year, and it was pretty much like just as good. We bought plenty of stuff last year at this convention, and we got plenty of stuff this year at this convention.
Yeah.
And this isn't even our shopping convention.
Nope. Nope, we have to wait for December for that one. Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Konich-Yeehaw podcast. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Jared.
And thank you guys so much for listening. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.